Now, today I want to introduce a concept, and this is the concept of alignment. And many times people experience this discomfort, and it's because they don't match the things that they want, the things that they value, the things that they do, versus how they live. So, what do we do about this? Stick around, let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Marna, and thank you for joining me. So, anything that does not align causes conflict, it causes friction. This shows up in a number of ways in our lives, but this has been brought into high relief as we have all been dealing with the pandemic, the lockdowns, being stuck in one place with the same group of people over and over. And this brought out what it is that people truly valued. So, a psychologist asked for the top 10 lessons that people felt like they had gained from this entire pandemic experience. The top 10 lessons that they learned from being in lockdown, from being in this enforced shutdown of the economies. Now, the first thing that really stood out, and it blew everything else out of the water, was that people realized they needed to put time and effort into relationships. People said that this entire experience has exposed the fact that family, friends, relatives, children, the people that were so important, but they didn't make the time to reconnect. And they weren't making the time to be with these people. So it taught them what their values were, and their values for them was the people. They wanted to spend quality time with their family. They wanted to make phone calls and connect, but they hadn't been. The value of being with your family had not been in alignment with the way life was being lived. And this was not just a United States thing. These surveys were sent around the world. And around the world, parents reported that they wanted to change how they interacted with their children so they could spend more time with them, that they wanted to have more family dinners, that they wanted to spend time with their grandparents and their siblings. So all of this enforced isolation just showed them that they needed to make the effort to reconnect with all the people who they felt were important to them, to nurture those relationships. And that was the number one answer of the wisdom that people have been learning throughout this pandemic. Number 2 on the list was practice self-care. And a lot of people who are watching people who are out there, you have a good heart. Everyone wants to build a better future for themselves. They want to help other people. They want to, build a better community. They want to pursue their goals, which is a great thing. But in the process, then they realize they haven't been taking care of themselves. They've been investing so much time in the outside world, but this part of themselves they neglected. So people wanted to get back to taking care of their emotional health. They wanted to get back to taking care of their body. They're realizing that they're not even sleeping enough, exercising enough. Physical health is not as strong as it should be. It's all been neglected. And the need to care for ourselves, taking time to be by ourselves, taking time to heal and be alone, and to go get quiet and still. Again, the focus on taking care of everyone else, accomplishing a lot and different goals, you neglect to take care of oneself. Next was slow down. This period has shown us that we're always moving so fast. We're always trying to achieve things and to get more done. And I notice the things I've been hearing people are saying, things of productivity, which is great. But when is it enough or when is it too much, Are you double Xing? Are you triple Xing? 8Xing? 10Xing? 1,000Xing? That's a lot of X's, and just saying those words is kind of exhausting. And people are feeling the effects because we live by a checklist and a to do list. And then this to do has more to do's, and the cycle just keeps going and going. And without that awareness, because we're used to this habit, we're used to this pattern. But this entire situation that we're in really woke us up to the fact that maybe we need to slow down. We're just one person who's doing our best. And where does it get to the point where it's just too much? I mean, some people even wear this busyness as a badge of honor. I accomplished so much. I did so much. I didn't even get to rest. I'm working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And just people are just running on empty day after day after day, and it's just not sustainable. So it's not about good or bad for you, but it's about sustainability. And at this pace that we're continuing, people are beginning to realize that we can't keep up at this rate. And it's important for us to slow down so we can take care of ourselves. Next on the list was be more present. In this digital age, everything is just so fast, and we're just bombarded with information. We're bombarded with stimulus and noise, and people are always on their phones, and people are just distracted. And you can be somewhere sitting next to someone at the same table having lunch, but mentally you're not even there because already we have a habit of thinking about the future. We're either stuck in the past, maybe thinking about our problems and worries, or we're sitting with someone right in front of us and we're still on our phones and they're on their phones and, not judging lifestyles, but this is something people are realizing that wherever they go, whether it's with their coworkers, their children, whether it's just alone time with themselves, they can't stay focused because we all have a phone in our hands. There are so many people who go out in nature and you have this beautiful sunset in front of you, but you're looking at it through a lens of your phone. What does it take to put the phone down? Enjoy nature for nature. Enjoy the people who you're with and actually be fully present. And again, this is something that people are beginning to realize that they value. Next on the list was working less. People are just realizing, now that they were forced to take a step back, how much time they spent at the office. What percentage of their life was surrounding work? And so many people just reported that they did not have a work-life balance. Because if you're working 80 hours a week at the office, then when is the balance for your family time, your self-care time? Or what about time to just be alone and get still? And, this is when people realized I've been working too much or too long, that they've been pushing themselves too much, and that they needed to take the time to slow down. But when they took that time, they would feel guilty, and then this process gave them the okay. And says that to not work 80 hours a week or to not overwork yourself can be a good thing. So we need to reassess the amount of time we spend working as opposed to the amount of time we spend living. Are we working to live or are we living to work? Next on the list was continuously improve oneself. And I know this sounds like self-care, but it's different. You need to do your own healing. And then when you do that healing, you want to start to pursue a deeper part of yourself. I mean, some people reported just having trauma. Some people reported that they were having issues regarding self-esteem, regarding confidence, regarding how they felt about themselves. And they wanted to develop healing. They wanted to develop skills. They wanted to continuously improve themselves. This can be done through reading. It can be done through taking the time to meet with a therapist. It can be done through doing new activities and engaging in a different way. All things to help strengthen yourself, to strengthen your trust in yourself, and teach you that you can rely on yourself so you can enjoy being around yourself and just changing this thought process. But again, people report that they felt like they did not improve themselves, that they wanted to be a student again. They want to keep learning. And more importantly, they want to keep growing to be a better version of themselves. And they found that this was something that had been neglected. Next on the list was don't be careless. So people reported that before the pandemic, they would just spend frivolously and whatever they liked, wherever they wanted. You know, go out, spend the money, however you want to do it. If you want to shop, then just do it. And they didn't really prepare. But then the lockdown happened, and this exposed the fact that they were not ready financially and that they needed to prepare for their future a little bit better. They needed to invest, they needed to save, they needed to be mindful. So when a crisis hits, instead of feeling like you don't have a financial cushion, people are becoming aware that they need to prepare better. And being aware that lack of preparation added a lot of unnecessary stress that came from an already stressful situation. But a lot of people said that they also learned about gratitude. With this whole pandemic and with as bad as it was at the beginning before things started to get under control, people realized that they needed to be grateful for what they had. You have a lot to be appreciative of. You should be grateful for your spouse, your siblings, your family, that you have your children with you. People mention that they are grateful that they have a job, that they can still survive, that they can still make payments on their properties, that they still have their health, that they're still breathing and they're still alive. And just realizing that we've alienated ourselves from our environmental support systems by where our focus has been. But now it's time to look at what is truly important. That you need to stop and smell the roses and be grateful for them. And that we need to stop forgetting because, everything becomes normalized in our hectic pace. But when the world stopped, then people looked around. And in this environment, they were grateful that they even had food on the table. And yeah, there's been a lot of negative news out there. But it's also given people a chance to truly look at their lives and realize how much we have to be grateful for. Sure, we may not be keeping up with the Joneses, but be thankful for what you do have and be grateful for the opportunity to reflect on that. And the next thing that people understood through all of this is that it's not enough just to slow down. We need contemplation, prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it. This is a little bit deeper. It's not just about having time alone. You need to get quiet. You need to get still. You need to connect with the something bigger within yourself and go and explore that to its fullest depth. People want to develop their spiritual practice, develop a daily habit of meditation and mindfulness. And people are seeing that this spiritual life, and it doesn't matter what faith it is, just nurturing that spirituality, whether it's prayer, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's meditation, just getting calm and still. It's not just because you want to, but because it's an inherent need in ourselves, a need that every day we just need to tune out the world and go within to our inner sacred nature, where you can reconnect with the greater whole, where you can let everything go, allow your mind to purify itself. And by engaging in this kind of practice, then you develop the mindfulness. Then you start to feel centered. And then you discover you're grounded. And this is the foundation that you need to have to be able to build up in the future. And the last thing that people reported discovering is that in all of the darkness, there is always a ray of hope, that we were all in this together, that we are not going to be alone in the dark, that we are not going to just give up and lay down. We are going to get through this. As a whole, we are going to survive and rebuild and be okay. We'll get through this because we are together in this. We just had to really slow down and take a breath and adjust so that we had the space to see how to recalibrate. We know how to get back to a place of homeostasis. We can start to shift ourselves. And this enforced period of isolation gave us a glimpse of just how important that togetherness is. People singing on their balconies to the nurses is an example of how we were all in this together. So there you have the top 10 pearls of wisdom that people reported that they gained from the COVID lockdowns. And again, this was through a psychological survey. And, so what does this have to do with alignment? Let's get back to what we were originally talking about, right? I know I have a tendency to ramble, but the purpose here really is to highlight the reasons why we suffer. And that is, again, going back to the beginning, because your life is not in alignment with what you value, with what your intentions are, with what you think is important. And this is what people reported as being important was spending time with the family, taking care of yourself, improving yourself, learning, developing, growing, taking the time to slow down, developing a spiritual practice. And these are such very basic things that many of us can share what we value. But, it's not what we show. Does your intention, does what is important to you now match the way you live your life? And when you do not match, when your values and the way you are living do not match, then you experience this incredible suffering. It's feeling of depression, feelings of unhappiness, of unworthiness, of running in place, of just keeping going and going and going and spinning your wheels and never getting anywhere. Because we're chasing something that doesn't have an inherent value. Even though what we're telling ourselves is, well, if I make this much money, then I can take the vacation with my family. But you're so busy chasing the dollar, chasing the bottom line, is that you don't get to spend time with the family now. You don't have the time to call them. And if you don't do these steps of recognizing what your true values are and bringing your life into alignment with your values, then you're going to keep feeling that frustration and that dissatisfaction with life that so many of us deal with. Now, what is most important to you? Health is important, but we don't have time to work out and we don't exercise. And again, time and time again, the way people live is not matching what they say they value. Peace and happiness sounds great, and if you really value that, then, if you're working 8 hours a week, how do you value peace and simplicity? It just doesn't match up. So what I'm trying to point out is you need to know what you do value. Take some time, do some work, learn your values. Do you know what is important to you? And then take a look at your life in this moment And does your life match your values? Take the time and assess your reality versus your values, and then start figuring out what you need to do to make those two match. Match your lifestyle to what really matters. You know, I can't tell you how to make this transition. And there's going to be a lot of people saying, I can't do that because I need to pay the bills. And yeah, take care of your business, but know this information is there so that you can begin making the small changes to make the adjustments. So, how do you make these small changes? The first thing, whatever you're doing, however you're living, if it's not working, then stop doing that. Stop the bad habits. You know, the things that keep you stuck in this moment, choose not to continue. And then once you have cut off the bad, establish a new habit for the good. And then the third part of that is purify your mind, develop the wisdom, and then use that wisdom to implement into your life the change processes. And, I'm sharing this simply because someone watching out there may not realize that things are important to them, or that the things that they say are important to them do not match with how they're living. So, if that's the case, just see it for what it is now. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to tell a story or see yourself as you are. See your situation as it is, and with this information, take this knowledge, take this know-how, start to realign your life one step at a time, and get clear from the beginning before you start even doing the work. What is important to you? What are your values? And recognize this takes time. This takes exploration. Get quiet. Get still. Identify this clearly. And then, work towards what you value, not towards what society tells you to value. Take one step at a time to live a life that matches with what is important to you. And when you can start to live congruently, where what you value, what you say, what you think matches the reality of what you do and how you live, you will be so much more at peace. So, I'm Marna. Thank you for joining me. I hope that this has been helpful. It's been a little bit different for me, but I thought I'd try out some new ideas and see what everyone thought of it. Have a beautiful night, and I will see you on the next video.